Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 891 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Overnight, Russia attacked Ukraine with 29 drones and 4 missiles, reports LBUA. The enemy struck with 2 S-300 anti-aircraft guided missiles from the occupied territory of Donetsk region and 2 Ha-31P anti-radar missiles from the airspace over the Black Sea. The Air Force of Ukraine informs that it managed to down 24 drones. There were reports that a drone hit an infrastructure facility in Vinnytsia Oblast. According to the latest poll conducted by the National Democratic Institute and the Kyiv International Institute of Sociology, 72% of Ukrainians believe that holding elections is a post-war issue, while 24% would prefer to vote during the war, reports Ukrainska Pravda. The sociologists also asked Ukrainians about their attitudes towards a number of political parties. The possible party of volunteer and former comedian Serhiy Prytula enjoys the most support from respondents. It is the only political party where the number of people with a positive or very positive attitude to it is the same as those whose attitude is negative or very negative, 28% each. With all the other parties, negative attitudes prevail. The most negative attitudes are towards the pro-Russian opposition Platform for Life. 71% of Ukrainians have negative feelings towards it, and only 4% reported a positive attitude. Zelensky's Servant of the People, 48% versus 13%, and European Solidarity of the former President Petro Poroshenko, 47% versus 23%. 57% of Ukrainians believe that Ukraine should negotiate with Russia to try to achieve peace. 38% believe that Ukraine should not negotiate, while 5% said they were not sure. The number of those who agree to negotiate with Russia has increased by 15% compared to November 2023 and thus is the same as it was in the result of the May 2022 poll. At the same time, 66% of respondents believe that Ukraine should bring back the territories which were under Kyiv's control before 2014, including Donbas and Crimea. 60% of respondents consider it completely unacceptable that Ukraine can only have the territory it currently controls. In addition, 74% and 76% of respondents disagree that Ukraine should give up its membership in NATO or the EU for the sake of peace. 57% of Ukrainians believe that the war will continue for a long time, and 18% of this believe that the hostilities will last for another year or two. 17% are convinced that the fighting will last from 2 to 5 years, 14% believe that the war will end in 6 to 12 months. And about 1 in 13 Ukrainians holds a pessimistic forecast that the war will last more than 5 years. More than a third of respondents could not answer this question. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review in the app where you are listening to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify or others. This really helps more people to find out about the highlights from Ukraine and truth about Russia's invasion. The National Bank of Ukraine expects that in 2024-2025, a further 400 and 300,000 people, respectively, will leave Ukraine, reports Zahidnet. This assumption is worsened compared to the April inflation report in connection with the significant destruction of the Ukrainian energy system, which is accompanied by long-term power outages and increases the risks for the heating season. As stated in the message, in addition to everyday difficulties, frequent outages negatively affect production processes, which reduces economic activity and demand for labor, additionally stimulating migration. Also, migration will be caused by the slow normalization of economic conditions due to high security risks. It is expected that the net return of migrants to Ukraine will begin in 2026 and will be gradual, about 400,000 people. According to the NBU, last year, the outflow of migrants abroad amounted to 200,000 people. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, when a commercial initiative of just 2 people, and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.